going to be at the top of the tables. But for the second seed, it could quite literally go to anyone, and we may actually be able to see our very first 1-1 scoreline between See You Soon and SRG.
And right now, I think we look at the side of both teams. I personally am very interested to look at both Boxy the King against Yums, right? Both very proficient roamers, both are into the Cho, especially as a pocket pick, so that is interesting as well. But the goal lane also, I think, is something that's worth looking at, especially when you have Soul and wow, it's not Innocent. Wait a minute. Okay, I'm tripping. So it's Innocent against Soul, and Innocent has been regarded as one of the deadliest gold laners, right? I believe even Super Marco said in an interview a couple of months ago that in scrimmages, Innocent gave him the biggest problems.
Innocent gave him the most problems. Okay, but for now, let us just okay. I guess we are not moving on with these bans, huh? Because are we going on with these bans? Okay, no, we're not. Nah, we are not.
No way.
Yeah, no, it's too fast. It's way too fast. That's way too fast.
I got the shock of my life. I got the shock of my life when I saw Gojas in that gold lane, right? I mean, Gojas is also he's the sub of the team, but man, Gojas go Innocent roam is gonna be a special day. Yeah, we're gonna. It would be hilarious. Though from recent results, I mean, even from recent results, right? SRG has been not only doing very well in scrimmages, they've also taken down big teams from other regions. Like for example, I think in a recent match, they actually took down the majority of Fnatic Onyx roster. So I think that was a big moment as well for SRG as a team, and they weren't even playing with Cram and Innocent, right? They had to play with Malaysian players. So with that taken into consideration, I think SRG, they have a lot of weight lifted off the shoulders when they dropped their first game in MPL, because I think, getting a perfect streak, a perfect 2-0 record isn't part of the plan. It was just a byproduct of their performance. But not having to think about that allows them to focus more on just playing the game right and keeping some records alive.
Now, speaking of keeping records alive, I'll say that See You Soon, they gotta have to hold on to the fact that in M5, they managed to put quite a show, don't you think? 5th to 6th place. They have so much that they're going to be holding on to based on their previous international appearance. In the meantime, we are looking at SRG, and they are a team that is kind of like a mish and mash. It's kind of like, okay, how is that supposed to be like? Because Stormy representing SMG went over to M5 with a 9th to 12th place, and for Yums is like back then MSC 2023 5th to 8th place under the flag of Kodak. The rest, such as Cram, Sekais, as well as Innocent, never really had proper international appearance. So the question will always be there, like, will SRG be able to withstand that kind of pressure being on such a big stage?
Yeah, I agree. I think this is kind of like the one true test for SRG, right? Like, how far can they take it? Can they deal with the kind of, what we say, the international pressure? I mean, Yums, like you mentioned, right, is the only team that has been to both MSC and M Series. I mean, this is Sekai's literal first international appearance, first international tournament at such a young age. I mean, Cram and Innocent, they've had their moments back in MPL Philippines or MDL Philippines, and I remember Innocent received a lot of flack, right? People were like, why are we taking Innocent? Because he didn't perform that well in MPL Philippines, and right now he's regarded as one of the deadliest gold laners. So I think the individual growths for these players are just, it leaves you breathless when you look at the timeline of how they got here. Even Stormy, who was kind of the uncrowned mage prodigy, finally getting his first trophy in the recent MPL MY Season 13. And that's not even kind of the half of it, right? You have Coach Ozora Vecchi, who waited so long to become a champion. He was an ex-player under GeekFab, never won a trophy, went on to become a coach and analyst, and finally won a trophy after so many years. And of course, decorated Coach Arcadia as well, being the head coach for the team of SRG.
Now, one thing that I definitely want to look out for, I believe that you mentioned it before, is going to be the matchup between Innocent versus Soul, right? I mean, Innocent being the undefeated giant, which was awarded the regular season MVP and grand finals MVP in MPL MY season 13. So we have so much of these titles that's weighing on to Innocent. In the meantime, on the flip side, we have Soul, which is a newcomer to the team and really just only started his career in MPL Cambodia season 6. So yes, he had definitely proved to be strong, especially since he himself is also awarded the grand finals MVP. So we have quite a clash of MVPs just in the gold lane itself.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, to make it even more interesting, SRG, 4 of their members got voted for the dream team. Everyone except for Sakai's, right? Sakai's role was taken by Chibi, so that's why he basically slaughtered Chibi in the grand finals. We were saying that he took it very personally. But that aside, I like the Nolan ban. It's big respect to Sakai's because Nolan, an assassin jungler, has never gotten a win in MPL MY playoffs until Sakai's got his hand on Nolan, and then he went on to win 2 games in a row, and both of them were in the grand final. So imagine how crazy that is, the achievement of this young man.
Definitely one of the top three heroes of Sekai. So just whacking out Nolan like no tomorrow. But we draw we pull our ideas and of course attention over to the drafting with Loi, Nolan, Chip, as well as the Harif being banned out already. As such, we are looking at actually not much of a pattern, I gotta have to say. In fact, when it comes down to SRG going out for the Chip as well as the Harif, it really just boils down to them wanting to eliminate the really annoying heroes, just not wanting to deal with a gold laner with great, with massive lane priority. And in the meantime, Chip is just ultimately a very annoying hero, especially if See You Soon will want to play more of a death ball kind of all-out team. Then Chip is definitely going to be great for their kind of playstyle.
Yeah, absolutely. I think on top of that is also the Grok ban, right? And I think if you have studied SRG enough, you'll know that like SRG, they're gonna face the Groks for Yumes whenever they can. And of course, to clear some confusion for people watching, they're like, wait, why is Go just in the goal lane? It's actually Yumes, innocent goal lane, Yumes Roma. There's the same old SRG lineup. Angela banned out for SRG, so if SYS See You Soon wants to go for the Link first pick, it's going to be a bit harder without that Angela. We'll see though, the Roger is still open, Moskov as well. Both are picks that SRG would get their hands on in a heartbeat.
One thing that I kind of like from SRG is that they don't really bother trying to go for any of the assassin bans that is targeted over to MP the King, considering the fact that MP is famous for being able to pull off super off-meta heroes, such as what we've seen before, Alice, Hellcat, and Bane. So honestly, just leaving out the Link and just banning out the Angela is definitely something that I absolutely love from SRG, as they have more or less prepared for this very possible pick from See You Soon.
So the Link first pick still. See SRG, I mean, I'm looking at potentially, I mean, it could be a Roger pick, right? Roger, Fredrin is something that SRG, they are very comfortable
Moskov,
going for. Moskov as well. Plenty of options for the Red Giants, and they are one of the few teams that would go for the Aurora. I mean, and then the Cho as well. Remember we talked about the Yumes Cho, is it a Yumes or Boxy? Cho comes out first phase alongside Cram's Terizla.
Okay, so they didn't really quite focus on to the Moskov as much as I expected, right? I mean, to me, whenever you look at a Link and Moskov is currently available, especially in this current patch, it almost feels like a no-brainer. I'm gonna pick it because I'm gonna be relatively safe from a Link whenever I see him, or if I want to engage on a Link, that's an instant auto stun. But of course, it's always based on scenario. It's very scenario based. But all in all, having a Cho as well as a Terizla pretty much sets up a pretty strong core, and there is still quite a lot of ideas and flexibility that we might be able to see. Would Stormy play a Terizla in middle lane?
No, I don't think so. Stormy is more of the utility type mage. They did take his Valentina away, and they showed the Roger as well. So no smokes and mirrors there. It's a very direct draft, Roger go, Link jungle. But the Cho Terizla opening also allowed SRG to at least see 2 more picks and then decide whether they want Innocent's hero. And even then, they have the first pick in the second phase, right? So it's not too big of a deal.
I mean, with Terizla as well as Cho, they can actually get themselves a pretty good river control. As such, picking up a blind Novaria here might be actually pretty okay. Otherwise, if you want to take a look at some of the other top 3 heroes of Stormy, I would say that Aurora could also be a decent pick if they are wanting to go into team fights. Like, okay.
watch out. You think the Nolan
Okay.
is nasty, but this kid has the Fanny. It's a forgotten pick. But guys, whenever he gets his hands on the Fanny, I feel like he has already won half the game with it. What a blessing it is to see the Fanny getting picked up in their very first debut on the MSC stage.
Wow. I mean, that pretty much means that lane control as well as river control is ultimately super important, right? If you soon ultimately drafts up heroes that have very strong have very high lane priority heroes, especially since we're looking at Valentina in mid, the Roma, if they are able to supplement Valentina's wave clear in middle lane, that is definitely going to be a little bit tougher for Fanny to eventually pick up her purple buff in the 5 minutes mark onwards. So SRG gotta have to really look out for that, especially going for a Fanny on the first half of picks.
Yep, and instantly with the Tigro ban already from the side of SRG, you want to eliminate those anti-dive cons, want to eliminate those big crowd control supports because they already have the Cho, so this could be a Minotaur ban afterwards. And if the Minotaur gets banned out, I'm looking for potential Franco or Kaja pick for Boxy. At least there is a way to catch the Cho or the Fanny if they kind of jump in. So I think it's more direct in terms of the second phase bans. We'll see though, SYS, they still have to think about Innocent and Stormy's heroes.
Yeah, quite a lot of potential roam heroes that could actually still fit the bill for See You Soon. If they really want that point-click stun onto that Fanny, the Kaja is good, especially since he can also be able to clear waves just as effectively together with some of the many other roam heroes such as a Tigro, a Minotaur, or perhaps even an Edith coming into the middle lane, right? So lane priority is probably the name of the game for See You Soon, since they have already picked up the Ling, who also requires the purple buff, which both teams, they are... I think this game is all about the purple buff. Whichever team is able to get a strong control of the river and being able to completely overwhelm the opponents, I think that they are going to be in a pretty good spot. And looking at the fact that we have an early Cho picked up from the side of from Yums, I think that they should be able to take very strong control of all of that.
So actually it's the Barras ban coming up from SRG. They want to make sure that See You Soon does not have as minimal a way as possible as controlling the Fanny and the Cho. I mean, sure, there's Minotaur, but at least you can steal cables away from the Minotaur aerial effect compared to being sucked in by the implosion. Like, there's no way out. So I think SRG, considering, went through all of the permutations and decided that the Varas being taken out actually does benefit them more. Not just to protect Sakai's Fanny, but also the Cho and the Terizla. I mean, SRG, the thing about them is that they are very methodical as a team, right? Like, the way they play the game, you don't feel like you are falling behind until it's too late.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what's scary about them.
I do agree with what you say, especially since when Minotaur, if See You Soon is picking up Minotaur, it's not going to be that big of a problem, especially since Sekai is playing as a, sorry, not Sekai, Yums is playing as the Cho. He can very easily just iframe out of that final hit of his of the Minoan's Fury and being able to weave his way over to the back lines to really deal with the Cho. So no problems for SRG at all if they really want to look out for that.
It's gonna be a carry pickup for Innocent. Just as even if there's no tanks on the side of See You Soon, the late game potential is good. I mean, SRG preparing for See You Soon, right? Like they need to pick a tank eventually, so this carry solves that problem. The fact that there's a Kadita ban as well, so yeah, worry about Stormy's Kadita. I mean, See You Soon, they've done homework and going into the deep pockets of SRG where a lot of teams wouldn't have even considered, wouldn't have thought about. But that means Stormy gets to see the entire SYS draft before he gets his hero.
So with the last two picks from See You Soon, they are heavily lacking in crowd control. They need to find a way to really fill up the gaps, and Roamers understandably will do that. And the main thing I can look out for really boils down to either an Edith or perhaps even a Minotaur.
Wait,
but they completely blew my mind with this Yuzhong and Lapu pick.
Wait,
Rome.
Wait, what?
Who is the Roma?
Valentina Rome? I suppose
Can't
they would.
be.
I suppose that would make the most sense, right? Because you get extra XP from your passive from Valentina when you damage someone whose level is higher than you or same as you.
That's the biggest. I mean, that's the right logic. I mean, unless they're trying to look out for very strong early game aggression into the opponent's jungle, then they can essentially just bump up onto Yuzhong and just go on straight to clear the wave in the middle lane together with Valentina and immediately just raid onto the opponent's buff from that point on, because Yuzhong has such high kill potential in the early stages.
And we get the Kagura
Kagura
for Stormy, and I never thought I'd see this again, but
wow, this is what, 3 MPLs ago for Stormy?
I don't know, it could be longer than that, but we just have to see, right? Because this is yeah, so it is the Valentina roam. So Boxy on the Valentina.
My.
I mean, I say that, you know, Cambodia, they have their own technology, but this one, I know as far as it goes, I've seen Yves support, but as Yves roam, but Valentina roam?
Valentina roam? It's got the mobility, it's got the EXP whenever you hit the enemies, but do you really have the survivability? That is mainly the question that I have, and I would want to see you soon actually just kind of, you know, blow my mind right now. What exactly will they have in store for us? Boxy the King, what do you have? Ladies and gentlemen, this is quite a series, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. My mind was already blown. Seems like, wait. Maybe it is a mistake. I hope it's a mistake. I don't want to know Valentina roam. I don't think that they are that crazy. We'll see. It could be. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, they're in the lobby.
Yeah, probably an error. Oh man.
Oh.
Okay, so the Kagura pick was also a feint. Well, at least we know leading up to kind of the very last 3 picks. We don't know what the last 3 picks are. You know, the last 2 for SYS and the last one for SRG. But everything else, I suppose they'll keep it the same, right? What we've seen.
I think that definitely the first 3 picks coming in from both sides is going to be solidified. The core picks and all. So Lapu, Yuzhong, and I guess the Kagura is not going to be counted for this game. Like, we might just get a complete changeover in drafts.
This is we'll have the Marshall sorted out, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
End of the day, we gotta ensure fair play, right? And you know, it is unfortunate, but we'll see. I think this does give the teams a bit more time to deliberate about the draft, and you know, for us to kind of look into what we have seen thus far, at least. I would assume that at least the first few picks that were confirmed leading up to the Lapu Yuzhong would be similar. But we'll see. I mean, let the Marshals handle that.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, for those people that have just tuned in to the stream, you are watching MSC 2024 Day 1 Stream B, or B stream in this case. So, we have Stream A and Stream B. We are featuring 2 very different games within of MSC 2024. So you can take a look at the schedule that you can find in the MLBB official page to see which games you are really interested in. Or if you like, you can always dive in and take a look at both the games.
It's also pretty interesting as well. So if you guys want to check out that series, I think it would also bring upon pretty interesting results, right? Some revelations, at least for us. You guys are gonna be with us for a while. We'll see SRG and see you soon. At least we can confirm that that's most likely a mispick for SYS for the last 2.
Very likely it's gonna be a mispick, and just kind of like went for a defaulted pick or something. But you know, but all of these players, they look kind of confused. They all have that kind of like a confused look in their faces, like what's going on next? Are we going for a full-on redraft, or are we going to be drafting the same for the first 3 picks and the 5 bans? That is always gonna be the question. But we focus a little bit more about this upcoming game here, right? For the start of See You Soon, what are their tendencies and some of the interesting stuff that we want to know about them. I do have one small little fact though, is the fact that See You Soon, they do have a kind of like a unofficial title for the fact that they are the trollers of their region. So I'm not too sure how that is going to fare against the Malaysian teams, because in my books, the Malaysian teams are the one that have the greatest showmanship for BMs and trolling.
I know that the See You Soon fans also say that they're pretty good at acting. Like,
They're good at acting.
Pretty good at acting. That because they were ranked 4th in the regular season back in MPL Cambodia season 6, and then in the playoffs they swept through everyone and they won the whole thing in the upper bracket as well. Nonetheless, so fans were like, man, these guys are so good at acting. That they only showed up in the playoffs. I mean, I think See You Soon is kind of a kind of a regular name, right? Like every time it doesn't feel like an international tournament without See You Soon, especially with the roster that they have. I know that So is the newcomer. He only started his career back in season 6, and he didn't like play every single game. But it's good to see that he kind of gets a second chance, and he was able to kind of prove himself in the grand finals as well, and even being rewarded as the grand finals MVP at that point in time. So this is the next step, the next chapter for him.
I see. So I think it's relatively fair to say that he had some soul searching.
You got me with that one. Took me quite a while. Yes, he went soul searching.
Yes! Sorry, being a dad actually gives me all of these dad jokes coming out of nowhere. It's a legit thing, guys. It's legit.
I believe you're trying to say being a dad makes you lame.
Dad jokes. We don't tolerate the word lame.
Yeah, I thought we're gonna. I thought the last series was gonna be a bang, but here we go. We've fallen into dad jokes.
But don't worry. That's the last of my dad jokes. No more.
All right. I assume Yums is telling dad jokes to his teammates. I know that when SRG picked up Yums, and not just Yums, honestly, when SRG reviewed the roster for season 13, a lot of people had a lot of doubts. There was a recent interview with Coach Arcadia, and he talked about how people were really questioning Yums, or why SRG even picked up Yums in the first place. There are a lot of other options, right? Because Yums, when he played in season 12 under the banner of Todak, didn't perform the best, right? There were moments of brilliance, of course, but he also had his moments where he made some errors, and even in the playoffs they lost to SRG. SRG eliminated from playoffs. So when they picked up Yums, and people were like, why Yums of all people? And Coach Arcadia said that as much as someone underperforms, right, he will always remember the glory days, that the golden age, the golden era of that player, and his goal is to bring it out of Yums again, and he's done a fantastic job. Now Yums really feels like he is back to that optimal state when he was playing at his best.
Whoa, that is quite some information, something that the general audience would never know about MPL MYs, especially when it comes down to Yums, because from the outside point of view, we're looking at SRG, we're looking at the all-star lineup, and we look at Yums and just like, yeah, the best roamer in Malaysia. Understandably, because he have been representing Malaysia time and time again in M3, MSC 2022, MSC 2023, and even M4 under the banner of Todak. He's been representing so much. So it only makes sense that with the amount of experience that he have, he would be able to impart all of that knowledge over to this new dream team, SRG.
Yeah, especially when both teams like assassin junglers. I think that See You Soon has actually talked about the patch as well, and patch for assassin junglers. It does give them more options. You can see that Ling is one of the biggest benefactors of the patch. But I think for them, SYS actually they don't see SRG as the team to beat, right? Like SRG is not the final boss. For them, I think it's Fnatic Onyx. This patch is a Kyrie patch, or a lot of people would say it because of the assassin junglers. Even SRG, I remember speaking to some of the people behind the scenes of SRG, and they say that this patch makes Fnatic Onyx incredibly scary because Kyrie, assassins, do I need to say more? Yeah, so that itself is pretty fun as well. I mean, both teams have a lot of history. Even SRG, I think at one point, when they first started, it was just Veki, right? In season 11, finished 5th and 6th, and then when season 12 rolled around, they realized that Veki realized that he himself is not enough. He needs someone, someone that is more experienced, someone that can even teaching something. So when Arcadia came into the picture, he actually volunteered to take a pay cut so that they could or not get pay at all, just so they could get Arcadia. But in the end, obviously SRG made it work. The management made it work without him taking any pay cut. They got Arcadia in, and 2 seasons later, they are the champions of MPLMY. Quite a heartwarming story, right? The sacrifices made.
Yeah, the entire history itself is definitely super golden. So with that all said, with such a golden history, I would want to see SRG being able to move on over to the playoff games, right? Just really just show everyone what Malaysia is about, what the region in Southeast Asia is all about. Because we have constantly been seeing Philippines and Indonesia being the top dogs of the Southeast Asia, and in the meantime Singapore as well as Malaysia just like a by the way kind of thing. So I think today we have managed to kind of solidify what Southeast Asia really is, what Singapore as well as what Malaysia really is. Looking at the fact that we are looking at very convincing 2-0s coming in from homeboys, and a very convincing first game from NIP Flash winning up against Fireflux, and game number 2 even netting that in the bag. I think that Southeast Asia has is pretty scary now in this current patch.
I think we're in a pretty good space, right?
Pretty
There's
good
no
spot,
doubt that, no doubt that the Philippines and Indonesia are still the top regions, but at least the fact that everyone is catching up, I think it's a good sign for the rest of the region. Though I would say that when I look at a team like SRG, sometimes it still feels surreal, right? Because it's been so long since we had a team that absolutely crushed the competition. The closest we had was Todak back in season 8, I believe. I could have remembered it wrongly, but there was a time where Todak was also leagues ahead of everyone else. But then you look at the landscape and the competitiveness. The fact that SRG was able to pull it off in MPLMY makes them even more scary compared to Todak in his prime. So I think that comparison really does show that this is probably the best we're gonna get, the best team that we've ever seen coming out of Malaysia. And this is the first step for them to really make a mark, right? If they can take down the champions from the side of MPL Cambodia, then whatever we've heard about them, whereas it's scrimmages or from past tournaments, MPL or not, it's going to be solidified even more.
Now, we have a lot of information coming in on the side of Selangor Red Giants. Our friend Huskkiee here is from Malaysia after all. So with that all said, how about see you soon, right? I'm pretty sure that there are a lot of Cambodian fans out there that has been rooting for see you soon. And I also understand that Cambodia is such a scary region, and their support for the teams are just on another level.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Mid-Season Cup 2024. We are getting ready for the final match of the day. It's See You Soon against the Selangor Red Giants, champions of their own respective region. And finally, we are going to be back in the draft with the conclusion of what we have witnessed of the previous issue. All is fine. Everything is fixed. It's Huskkiee and Abstract here to continue the action.
Yeah! So what we saw in the previous, or rather, what we saw in the draft previously was exactly what we saw from SRG, right? All 4 of these heroes are pretty much selected. But for the side of See You Soon, we definitely saw something different, such as the Yuzhong as well as the Lapu Lapu. So that is wrong. We have the Yuzhong that is correct, but the Lapu is not right. So I suppose that now they're going to be looking out into a more solid roamer. And in this case, yes, it is understandable, since they definitely need more of that crowd control capabilities.
Yeah, and just to give those who just tune in a bit of context, we had a bit of a remake as See You Soon had a unfortunate mispick at the very end of the draft. But what you're seeing is basically it's almost the same, right? The first 4 picks for SRG remains the same. The 4 picks, except for the Edith for See You Soon, is also the same. So not much deviation for both teams. Let's see what SRG has in store for Stormy in that mid lane. I'm looking at potential Aurora. That could be an option as well. It's one of his favorite picks. He likes control mages, utility mages. Yves could be in consideration. Kagura, I assume that's not the intended pick as well. So we'll see what SRG comes out with.
Yep, not too sure if whether that is okay. It
Okay,
is
still
an
goes to the
intended pick.
Kagura. All right. So the
It
only
is an intended pick.
yeah, so the only one that deviated was the Edith, right, which was previously a mistaken Lapu Lapu. So yeah, at least we get that out of the way. This Kagura, I've been 7 City for such a long time. I believe we did talk about it a little bit. So any expectations?
Honestly, when it comes down to both of these teams' draft, I am generally just pretty concerned for the fact that CU Soon's lineup doesn't have a lot of doesn't have very much confirmed crowd controls, and they are all just relying on onwards as well as Earth Shatter. Nothing else that really comes into my mind. While for the side of SRG, definitely seems a lot stronger